President-elect Trump will be sworn in on Friday, and when he is, he'll be one of the most secular presidents in American history. But that and a series of campaign controversies didn't stop him from winning 81% of the white evangelical vote. Now Democrats have to deal with how they can win over people of faith in future elections. In his new book called Reclaiming Hope, Lessons Learned in the Obama White House about the future of faith in America, one anti-abortion Democrat tries to make sense of that question. Michael Ware is the former faith outreach director for President Obama's 2012 re-election campaign. He also served in the White House faith-based office during Obama's first term. And Michael joins me now. Michael, thanks for being here.
Great to be here.
Let me start by asking you about what happened in this past election where evangelicals overwhelmingly went to Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, two things. One, evangelicals, white evangelicals in particular, felt embattled. They felt under threat, and they felt like their needs weren't being met in the current political environment. And then the second thing that happened was Donald Trump was the only of the two presidential candidates to actually reach out to them. And so by Clinton's ignoring these voters, it actually affirmed Trump's message that he was the only one who would help them. He was the only one who could save them, even though evangelicals knew Trump wasn't cut from the same cloth. They were uncomfortable with some of his incendiary, kind of controversial remarks, but he was the only one who was telling them that he heard them.
And so was it issues, Michael, that appealed to these evangelicals? Was it the addition of Mike Pence, a very conservative Christian who talks about his faith very openly? How did that all factor into those evangelicals feeling comfortable with Donald Trump?
It was a combination of things. The smartest traditional political move that the Trump campaign made during the campaign was releasing the list of potential Supreme Court nominees. That was the one substantive thing that evangelicals could hold on to in a campaign that wasn't very substantive. But then there were all these cultural pressures that Trump spoke to, this idea that there wasn't room in America for these voters anymore, and Trump would make room again. And so it was a mix of cultural and substantive policy disagreements.
Let's talk about your book. One of the concerns that you raise in your book is how politics gets in the way when it comes to faith-based initiatives. And I wonder if you think there's a way forward now for Democrats who are looking at those faith groups, that the evangelical vote. Have they just given up on that vote?
Well, you know, Democrats, every time they're in power for a little bit, they seem to forget that they need these voters. So after we lost in 2004, that shook us up, and in 2006 and 2008, we remembered. I think now's an opportunity to relearn that lesson, hopefully permanently. And listen, the Trump presidency is going to offer a lot of opportunities for Democrats to partner with people of faith on immigration, on poverty, on the social safety net, on international aid, on human rights. And so if Democrats are willing to include people that they may disagree with on other issues, but if we're going to be about resisting Trump, then we can't be pushing out people who want to join us.
So then whose job is it to bring people of faith back into the Democratic Party, you think?
Well, now that we're not going to be in the White House by the end of the week, the DNC has to staff up. We need leaders stepping up who are going to push back against the more extreme voices in our party that want to consolidate and sort of have a smaller tent than we should. And it'll be the responsibility of evangelical leaders to step out and tell their base, their folks, that actually we're going to partner with Democrats or Republicans whenever it matches our values, and we're not going to let partisan politics get in the way of leading on issues that we care about.
How realistic do you think that is, though, Michael? Because in your book, you spell out situations where on both sides there was clearly a sense of distrust, of mistrust, of people accusing each other of having less than honorable motives. Really, the demonization is what you spell out on the issue, for instance, of abortion.
Yes.
That's something you took a very deep look at. Is that a reality, you think, that now we are in an age where it's just going to be very difficult for people to reach across the aisle?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't think either side has much of a choice. Democrats have people like Senator Bob Casey, Senator Heitkamp up for re-election, and if we lose those seats, we're going to be in an even more difficult position in 2018 with 2 years left of a Trump administration. And then for evangelicals, look, we need to let our faith guide our politics, not let our politics guide our faith. And if there are partners that we can make to advance the common good, we need to make them and not worry about the partisan consequences. And I saw that in the White House on issues like pushing back against the Ryan budget and things like the New START treaty, where even after some of these religious controversies perked up, evangelical, Catholic, progressive faith leaders were willing to partner with us in the White House on issues of common cause. So Reclaiming Hope tries to give an honest look that includes both successes and disappointments.
Let's talk more about abortion. A new report out Tuesday says there were fewer than 1 million abortions nationwide in 2014. That's the lowest level since Roe versus Wade in 1974. You recently wrote an article for Politico magazine called "Obama's Forgotten Plan to Reduce Abortions and What Its Failure Teaches Us About Our Broken Politics." Based on your experience, Michael, in the White House, is this drop in the abortion rate something that President Obama can take credit for? Yeah,
well, I mean, in the general sense, the buck stops with the president. So if he has to take the blame for gas prices, and then he could take credit for this. The disappointment I had was he went to the University of Notre Dame and promised to advance explicitly policies to find common ground on abortion. And because of forces on the left and the right that didn't want to find common ground, because this is a great issue to fundraise off of, even though it divides Americans, we weren't able to do that. Now, we were able to pass policies like the adoption tax credit, like maternal health, that I think had an effect on the abortion rate, along with pro-life efforts in the states, right? So this is a complicated story, but yes, the president can take credit for it. Getting 20 million people more health care helps women and families feel the confidence to get pregnant and have families, which is a beautiful thing.
All right, Michael Ware, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.